Welcome back, everybody, to the KC Sports Report. Michael Darcy, your host here as always. And today I'm going to break down which Chiefs player has the most to prove in 2024. So, ladies and gentlemen of the Chiefs Kingdom, we are under a month away from the start of the 2024 NFL season. And that begs the question, who has the most to prove for the back-to-back Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs as they attempt to win a third Super Bowl in a row? And while I do think this question is difficult to answer, I think there's one player in particular that really has all of the pressure and all of the eyes on him to succeed in 2024. And my answer might surprise you, because it's not somebody like Xavier Worthy or Rashee Rice. It's not going to be anybody from the wide receiver core or even the offense in general, because I think the offense is going to be okay. Now, that might have a lot of people upset, but the player that I think has the most to prove in 2024 is second-year player Felix Anudike-Uzomah. I'm going to call him FAU for this video because I can't say Felix Anudike-Uzomah every time I need to say his name. So FAU, in my mind, has the most to prove in 2024, and that's for a variety of reasons. First and foremost, he was the Chiefs' first-round draft pick just a couple seasons ago. In last year, his true rookie season, he didn't have much of an impact. Now, granted, he didn't have to have a giant impact when you had Mike Dana and Charles Omenihu and a bunch of other guys that were able to, pick up the slack for the rookie. But with Charles Omenihu's injury and him being out for the first, part of the season, the Chiefs are going to need some production at the defensive line. And I think that that's why Felix is going to have to step up. I mean, you spent the 32nd overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft to bring in a guy, a hometown product, a local kid, and at the time it kind of seemed like a reach. It kind of seemed like a Clark Hunt move to appease the fans in Kansas City. I mean, the Chiefs had just won the Super Bowl, and you had the draft in your city, and the Chiefs decided to take a local hometown product so the fan base would feel like they saw their guy get drafted in the city where the draft was. So for that reason, I understand why Felix was the no-brainer pick, but we really haven't seen the production yet. And so far in 2024, we've seen one preseason game, and in that preseason game against the Jaguars, Felix actually had 21 pass rush snaps for 4 total pressures with a 19% win rate, which is pretty solid. I'm not going to lie. If that's what we see in 2024, I mean, he proved the most. But I do think that, it's the preseason and you can't put much stock in the preseason. So in my opinion, Felix is going to have to do this right away, because without Omenihu, and I still have question marks surrounding this defensive line. They didn't really add anybody through free agency, and they didn't draft anybody. So in my mind, that's basically the Chiefs front office telling us that they're confident with Felix Anudike-Uzomah, FAU, going into 2024. If they weren't confident, they would have signed somebody, or they would have picked somebody up in free agency, and they didn't do that. So in my mind, they're all hands on FAU's train. I don't think that's a saying at all, but they're all in on Felix, and I think that that's a good thing, because you're kind of giving him, the spotlight after a year sitting in the shadows just waiting for this opportunity. But at the same time, there's a certain level of worry that I have, because we didn't see him touch the field at all last year for the most part. And part of that is because the Chiefs defensive line and the Chiefs defense as a whole was so good last year, and you're returning a lot of the same guys. So you still have the Mike Pennells on the interior and the Derek Notties, but where are we going to see the pass rush? The pass rush is going to be the Chiefs' biggest momentum mover in the season, is if they can get to the opposing team's quarterback and cause that pressure. Last year they could do it. They were pretty good. They were towards the top of the league in sacks. But without Omenihu for the first, stretch of the season, the Chiefs are going to have to figure out how to get that production from somebody else. And that's why I think that Felix is the player with the most to prove in 2024, because there's nobody else Guys, it's Felix or bust. There is nobody else that has the green light like Felix does. He was a draft pick that was picked very highly a couple seasons ago. The Chiefs have so much invested in him, and if he doesn't go out there and prove it, the Chiefs might be in a little trouble. And so that's why I think that he has the most to prove in 2024. The Chiefs have so much invested in him, and they have so much invested in that position that he's going to have to find a way to at least get, a solid 4 or 5 sacks and apply consistent pressure. And if you asked anybody else, 4 or 5 sacks might be kind of low. They're expecting Felix to have 8 or 9 sacks, and ideally that'd be awesome, but I don't have that level of expectation on him because I just don't know. I have no idea what we are going to see from him, and so I tend to taper my expectations lower than a lot of people's because I just think that you still have Chris Jones. Mike Danny you just re-signed in the offseason, but Omenahu's hurt, and so you've got some pieces that can generate a little bit of pass rush, but I think at least in the beginning of the season, the Chiefs are really going to rely heavily on Felix to supply that pressure and get to the quarterback. And so that's why I think he's the player with the most to prove in 2024. Let me know down in the comments below, who do you think is the Chiefs player with the most to prove in 2024? In my opinion, it could be a bunch of different guys, but I feel pretty confident when I say that if Felix has a good season, the Chiefs are going to be in a great spot. If he doesn't, the Chiefs might have more of a hurdle that they have to overcome. So again, let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Who is the player with the most to prove in 2024? And until next time, guys, if you want to go check out my work on the Bleacher Report mobile app, that is Michael_Darcy. Go follow me on social media, Instagram, KC_Sports Report, and Twitter at KC Sports Report. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video, and go Chiefs.